The story opens in King's Landing, with Rhaenyra receiving news she never expected to hear. Aegon is alive, and so is Sunfire. Word of his return is already spreading across the realm, with supporters calling it a sign from the gods. Outside the Grand Sept, the small folk gather and question who is truly meant to rule. For Rhaenyra, Aegon's survival is now a threat to both her armies and her legitimacy. Daemon urges her to answer that threat with strength. Rhaenyra orders a watch for Aegon's dragons and commands Hugh to hold position outside the dragon pit with Vermithor. Daemon is to proceed against Tumbleton and root out Hightower resistance, but Rhaenyra also warns him that the realm is watching and tells him not to make a monster of her. Daemon promises that once Aemond and Daeron are dead, he will hunt Aegon down himself. The pressure immediately spreads through Rhaenyra's own court. Baela demands action to rescue Corlys, who has been taken by the Hightowers, but Rhaenyra refuses to send her. She insists that Baela and Adam are needed to protect King's Landing if the reports about Sunfire are true. Baela accuses the Queen of using people when they are useful and abandoning them when they are not, pointing to Rhaena and now Corlys as proof. At Driftmark, the Valyrian men are equally shaken by Corlys's capture. When they hesitate to answer Rhaenyra's call, Alan steps forward and identifies himself as Corlys's eldest living son and named successor. While one side of the war struggles to hold together, another claimant is being prepared. Daeron Targaryen is formally knighted before he can be crowned, rising as Sir Daeron the Daring. Elsewhere, Ulf the White boasts that Daemon will not dare unleash his dragon against the town. Back in King's Landing, Rhaenyra learns that the pregnant Helaena has stopped eating. She then orders a full escort to the Grand Sept, determined to have the High Septon publicly anoint her and remove any doubt created by Aegon's return. Before she leaves, a woman serving at court is dismissed and ordered to sail for Pentos at dusk, with enough gold to begin a new life. Before going, she secretly reaches Helaena and warns her not to trust the queen. Aegon has returned, Sunfire still lives, and Helena's unborn child gives Rhaenyra leverage over her enemies. Helaena is being treated less like family than a hostage. Far away at Harrenhal, Aemond wakes under Alyce's care. Believing Aegon dead, he is consumed by guilt and calls himself a kinslayer. He admits that his own brother fell because of him and tells Alyce to abandon him before his fate destroys her too. Alyce answers with the story of a curse tied to Harrenhal, a child who survived Balerion's burning, a mother who tried every cure to save him, and a punishment that left her trapped within the old Riverlands long after everyone else was gone. Back in the Red Keep, Rhaenyra tries to make Helaena eat for the sake of the unborn child. Helaena speaks about a colorful beetle found only in King's Landing, then tells Rhaenyra that the things she cares about have become ugly. Rhaenyra finally warns that if Helaena will not eat willingly, she will force the matter. Helena's refusal ends in panic as the Queen's people intervene. Alan and Adam also clash over Rhaenyra's choices and the danger facing Corlys. Their argument shows how deeply the Queen's own faction is beginning to fracture. At Tumbleton, the Hightower defenders know they cannot survive a direct assault. Children are placed along the battlements, turning them into human shields and daring Daemon to use dragonfire. Daeron is horrified by the prospect of fighting, but refuses to abandon the men and boys gathered in his name. To him, the choices seem to be fight or flee. Before Daemon's army reaches the walls, Rhaenyra tells Joffrey that he is now her heir. She begins passing to him the same secret that once moved from the old king to Viserys, then to her, and then to Joffrey's older brother, the Targaryen burden tied to Aegon the Conqueror's prophecy. Daemon's forces finally arrive at Tumbleton. Sir Gwaine Hightower rides out under a peace banner and, as a gesture of good faith, returns Corlys. He then presents Daeron's proposal: divide the realm rather than destroy it. Rhaenyra can keep the lands already behind her, while Daeron receives power in the south. Corlys goes further, suggesting that Daeron be made Lord Paramount of the Reach and married to Rhaena, creating an alliance strong enough to face both Aegon and Aemond. Daemon refuses. To him, there can be only one queen, and every rival claimant remains a traitor. He rejects the compromise, declares Corlys his prisoner again, and orders the army to prepare for an assault. Then another impossible reunion changes the war. Aegon reaches Aemond at Harrenhal. Aemond is stunned to see his brother alive and begs forgiveness. Aegon threatens to make him suffer for trying to kill him, but Aemond does not resist. He openly admits that he wanted the crown, judged Aegon unworthy, and tried to kill him so he could take his place. Aegon spares him. He explains that Rhaenyra declared him dead, while Daeron moved to claim kingship after Aemond vanished. Aegon now wants Aemond to find Vhagar, fly with him to Tumbleton, force Daeron and Ormond back into line, and then march on King's Landing under Aegon's banner. When Aegon asks who Alice is, Aemond identifies her as his betrothed. Outside Tumbleton, Daemon finalizes the attack. He intends to burn the defenses over the main gate, use Caraxes to cover the advance, and assigns Ulf and Silverwing to guard the rear. But the children on the walls change the calculation. Rather than burn through them, Daemon orders the northern Greybeards to scale the walls and open the gate from inside, while the rest of the army attacks from multiple directions. In King's Landing, Rhaenyra reaches the Grand Sept and demands to be anointed. The High Septon refuses. Aegon and Sunfire's return has strengthened the belief that the gods favor him, and the High Septon will not declare otherwise. Rhaenyra reminds him that she wears her father's crown, sits his throne, and commands 6 dragons. When he still refuses, her guards move in, and Rhaenyra takes her claim directly before the people. There, Rhaenyra makes her claim larger than politics. She tells the crowd that Viserys publicly named her heir, but says her duty goes back further, to the doom of Valyria, Aegon the Conqueror, and an ancient darkness waiting beyond the wall. According to the secret passed through her family, the realm must be united, and dragons must be ready to defend it. The Hightower line cannot carry that duty. Rhaenyra declares herself the one chosen to continue it. Then Tumbleton erupts. Daemon's army assaults the walls while the defenders fire from above. The Greybeards climb under heavy attack, siege engines hammer the fortifications, and the battle becomes a brutal street-by-street struggle. Inside the city, the Hightowers discover that Ulf is missing. They also learn that Daeron sent Gwaine to negotiate and released Corlys as part of the bargain. As the fighting worsens, another dragon appears. Daemon's men recognize it as Hugh Hammer's dragon, Vermithor, even though Hugh is supposed to be guarding King's Landing. No one knows why he is there. Fire spreads across the defenses, the gate is breached, and Rhaenyra's soldiers pour into the town. Daemon orders his men to find Daeron and Lord Hightower. The defenders begin to collapse. Ulf is finally found and is angrily ordered back to his dragon. Daeron is urged to escape because the parley has failed and Daemon is overwhelming the city, but he refuses to save himself by running while others die for him. The battle becomes impossible to control. Dragonfire tears through Tumbleton, soldiers are cut down in the streets, and every plan disappears in smoke. Then the decisive betrayal comes. Ulf turns. The warning races through the surviving attackers that the town is lost and they must leave. Multiple dragons wheel above the burning city as the battlefield becomes an inferno. By the end of the fighting, Tumbleton is devastated. The ground is covered with dead and wounded soldiers, and the surviving forces are scattered through smoke and fire. The final shock comes back in King's Landing. Rhaenyra is summoned and goes to Helena's chamber, only to find it empty. The film then cuts to Helaena, bloodied and motionless beneath broken timbers, while Rhaenyra searches the abandoned room. She finds one of Helena's embroidered cloths and studies the strange image left behind. Aegon has returned. Aemond is alive. Ulf has betrayed Rhaenyra's cause. Tumbleton lies in ruin, and Helaena is no longer in Rhaenyra's hands. Rhaenyra may still sit the Iron Throne, but by the end of the story, the war around her has become more dangerous than ever.